Good evening, everyone. Here's the third video I promised you of the 3 skill sets about uncovering your true potential and getting closer to being able to become that detached observer that helps when you start connecting with your soul level strengths more consciously and you start clearing negating patterns that prevent you being able to connect with those soul level strengths as easily as you was your birthright to be able to do. So the third skill is centeredness. So far, the first couple of videos covered on metacognition, becoming the detached observer by observing your thinking. And the second skill was inner strength, more so about being able to develop those observational skills for when you self-sabotage. We all do it. It's in our subconscious, it's in our unconscious. So we're aiming to get to the subconscious elements so that we can see how we negate ourselves in ways that once served us, but for who we are now and where we want to springboard forward with various developing, evolving intentions doesn't serve us anymore. So the third is centeredness. Now by centeredness, I'm specifically referring to our physical centeredness, our groundedness, how we anchor ourselves in our physicality, with our body, with our actions, with our behaviors. The first two are obviously in our mental and emotional bodies, where we're thinking, reviewing, to a degree analysing, but developing those skills more to get into observation mode and the detached observer mode, so we can have a look at negating patterns more easily without so much emotional involvement or attachment on ourselves, which is quite a skill set to develop for ourselves generally. So the third one in particular grounds all of this, because we can't allow ourselves to get too heady, too intellectual, too analytical at the expense of being able to still ground ourselves in our body. We're born into a physical body, stating the obvious, but it's there for a purpose in that we express our soul level strengths, we express our intelligence, we express our attitudes, our characteristics, our skill sets. We express them obviously through our body, whether it be verbally with the words that we put together, behaviorally with various actions that we take, and physically in actually walking somewhere, for example, using our hands to write, to type, to create, to build, and our body as we integrate various activities like cooking, for example, which could be an example of a centeredness skill set or skill or way, methodology that you could help ground and anchor yourselves. So I've got the foodie highlight as part of this Instagram account where I keep adding to that about the various ways I use cooking, for example, as a meditation experience. I'm sure many of you do. It might be about just cooking snacks or treats, for example, or even just gathering ingredients to quickly whip together. It's just one example of an activity where we consciously or semi-consciously allow ourselves to center and become more grounded. Sure, it may serve a purpose of preparing lunch or dinner or meals for the family, for yourself, for a dinner party, but it has that element where for some, it's also a space where we go into a zone. It's just one example. So in terms of centeredness, have a reflection for yourself as to what that activity is. Probably as I was just describing the cooking as an example for myself, some examples were coming up for you as to what you venture to. It could be walking in the sand with your feet directly in the sand or directly on the dirt, going for a walk in the back garden, sitting on the grass, weeding and gardening, pruning the trees and the flowers, all activities that get you into a certain zone. So it's really important. It doesn't have to relate to your work per se or something that's appropriate or what you should be doing. It's anything but obligatory or should. It's actually just that zone you tend to go to for yourself, even if it's 5 minutes, where it gives you a time out from the thinking, from the observing, from the doing things on a mental and emotional level. And you can feel yourself really ground yourself and anchor yourself. And in doing that, you're achieving or obtaining for yourself this centeredness. Why is this so important? When we practice a lot of the metacognitive observation and we're looking at our inner strength, elements, where we self-sabotage, and therefore what we need to consider doing differently, where it gets us out of our comfort zone, perhaps a little nervous, scared, apprehensive when it comes to really drawing on our inner strength to overcome self-sabotaging patterns. That really keeps us in our thoughts and in our emotional bodies, very valid energetic bodies that we have, and we do a lot of work and play in that space. We can think back to memories that we've had, and we do that with our mental body, and we can forward plan, imagine, and even get excited, like planning a holiday or just planning what you're going to do the next day, or thinking ahead to who you're meeting tomorrow, or you're catching up with a group of friends. So we use our mental and emotional energetic bodies quite a lot. You know, they do a lot for us, and we interact with it quite a lot. So being able to remember that we are in a physical body, one that we need to look after, whether it be from a nutrition perspective, meditation perspective, wellness, physical health, just being able to keep ourselves grounded and anchored is just as important an element in our skill set of developing the detached observer, because we do keep our feet on the ground. We do feel our hands touching and creating and doing various things. We integrate our body mechanics, our muscles, our joints, and all the circuitry of our internal systems that do things unconsciously for us, but we nonetheless integrate with them, so that from head to toe we're engaged in an activity that brings our mental and emotional bodies into our physical dimension and into our groundedness. This actually contributes and magnifies the power and the potency of the first two skill sets, of metacognitive and inner strength skill sets, because then we really can create the yin and yang and the infinity of being able to weave in and through, integrate, reintegrate, dissolve, reintegrate the various elements of our energetic bodies, of which our mental body, emotional body, and physical body all interweave a lot as a human being. By integrating them, and over time, as you just practice them for like the 60 seconds of metacognitive review, or a couple of minutes of your inner strength review, however long you might do your centeredness, anchoring, grounding activity, as you do those a little more over the days, over the weeks, you find your detached observer becomes easier and easier to get into. And when you're starting to engage more consciously with your soul level strengths and your divine gifts, where is actually where your self-leader resides, where things are easy for you to do, those detached observer skills become all the more important in you staying within your true potential and consciously enacting it every day. Even when there's a stressful situation, stressful circumstances, or you're confused, or you feel a little off kilter, you can center yourself a whole lot more, and you can use your metacognitive and inner strength skills all in the back of your mind, so to speak, whilst you're engaging in various circumstances, that you can choose how to respond rather than become too reactive or impulsive. So that's the third of the three skill sets. There are other specific exercises and insights on those with the PDF from rooftop.com, rooftopviewsociety.com, that you can download for yourself complimentary if you wish to. So feel free to go on input to be able to get that PDF for yourself, rooftopviewsociety.com. And I look forward to sharing more with you on here with subsequent videos coming. In the next video, I'll be sharing with you how I applied these three skill sets whilst I was in New York a couple of weeks ago. Pretty much 3 days into arriving in New York is when New York City started to really become a lot more alert and aware to the COVID-19 situation, and they were starting to get lockdown into play. So it was about 3 or 4 days into arriving, and there was a whole bunch of metacognitive observations and inner strength drawing and centeredness that I was absolutely practicing during that time, in being able to make some very conscious strategic choices in getting back home in time before I got stuck in New York City. So I'll share that with you in another video. Thanks for watching, and here's to you developing your rooftop view perspective. Enjoy.